Like you, we absolutely love cruising, and we always have questions about the ins and outs of holidaying on a cruise ship. Now, armed with our expertise and up-to-date knowledge, we thought this week it would be helpful to give you the answers to the 10 most frequently asked questions. Well, a big hello to each and every one of you. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm Keith, one of the presenters here at Planet Cruise, and alongside me, a fellow friend and presenter, Glenn from Dietary.
Yes.
And if you don't know what I mean, you need to tune in to Ideal World every Tuesday to see Glenn representing us with some great deals there on that fantastic channel. Now, as we always go on about, Glenn, we are big fans of cruising. We're big fans about spreading the news about cruising. And we get asked lots of questions. So it's really important that we give you an opportunity to find out some of the answers to those frequently asked questions. But hold your horses before we go any further. We're just going to remind you about subscribing to our channel by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button. As our good old friend Leslie used to say, ding dong done. Then you'll get all the travel updates you ever wanted, plus more, and it's free. So our top most frequently asked question is quite obvious actually. What is so great about cruising, Glenn?
Well, with almost everything included in the price, cruising makes fantastic value for money. If you choose a cruise and compare it with the price of a land holiday, taking into account flights, transfers, food, accommodation and activities, it's almost guaranteed that a Planet Cruise holiday will win hands down when it comes to value for money. Also, I like to explore, so by cruising I get to travel to multiple destinations and see many places in just one holiday.
So multiple destinations and best value for money you can get, pretty much.
Exactly.
For me, I've got to agree with everything you said. It is great value for money. It is great to see multiple destinations, but I also like the fact that you can pretty much lay back and relax and let the ship do the travel work. So while you're laying there, topping up the tan, having a gin and tonic with your friends, or having a smoothie, Glenn, I know you're big into your health, then you really you can actually have the relaxing part of the holiday, not have to worry about travel, because I do so much travel with work, I don't want to do it when I'm on holiday. Plus the packing side of it, and the unpacking side of it. On a cruise, you only have to do it once. And of course, with other holidays with multiple destinations, it's packing and unpacking, and no one wants that. You want it to be nice and easy. So you can literally fall asleep in Australia and wake up in Fiji.
That'd be a long sleep.
It would be quite a long sleep, wouldn't it? Yeah. Or my favourite one, I fell asleep in Bognor and I woke up in Brighton. What more could you want?
One of the biggest attractions to cruising is having everything right on your doorstep as you travel the world. This includes superb entertainment from Broadway and acrobatic shows to jazz bars and karaoke. Numerous restaurants featuring cuisine from around the world, often with celebrity chefs cooking your food for you. Bars such as chic champagne lounges, that's easy to say, and ice bars are also on board many of the ships. Activities from surf simulators to TV game shows, leisure facilities like world-class spas, beauty therapies, pools and hot tubs. There's so much included that really this can make it the best holiday ever.
That's why Glenn's cuticles are so clean.
Lovely. Are cruises all-inclusive? Keith?
No. Next question. No, I mean, not all of them. Some cruises will be, and that's really fantastic, particularly if you are on a tighter budget. But the cruise holiday is slightly different from other holidays. All-inclusive generally means all drinks are included. However, you're advised to check with us, really, check with Planet Cruise over the phone or online about exactly what is included, because sometimes you might have a cruise deal which includes all meals but not the drinks. Sometimes you might find that excursions are included, particularly on river cruises. And with other ones they won't be. And these deals won't necessarily be considered all-inclusive. But there are inclusive aspects, more so than you get in a hotel. And usually there are drinks packages that you can purchase that pretty much turn it into an all-inclusive cruise and are really good value add-ons.
They are. Also, people want to know, what is the dress code normally on board the ships?
Yeah, and there's a lot of misconceptions about this. People think that cruise ships, it's all about every night wearing a dicky boat and a penguin suit, and it's really not like that. Now, that if you want to have a night where you dress up, there are certain cruise lines that particularly encourage those more formal occasions, or the captain's gala occasions. So maybe people like Holland America and Cunard, there's others as well that will say, oh, we have a night in the week that's like that. But even on those nights, there'll be a couple of venues people can go to, such as the buffet restaurant, where you don't have to dress up like that to go and have dinner. So it's not that strict that you can't walk out of your cabin. On the other hand, there is some cruise lines which really pride themselves on the fact that they're more laid back.
Yeah.
NCL, Carnival, companies like that, they like to say, well, we don't really have these kind of formal nights or anything like that. We just keep it kind of casual the whole time.
And then you've got people like Celebrity now brought in evening chic. So that's a little bit more where you can sort of wear smart jeans with a shirt and a jacket.
Yeah.
I think it still looks smart, but you haven't got to wear the sort of whole suit and dicky bow. Especially if you're doing one of our tailor-mades where you're travelling maybe 3 days in Singapore, then the cruise, 4 days in Siem Reap. Maybe it's difficult to carry those suits around, so it's quite a nice way of doing it.
Well, it is, and also some people have to dress up for work.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't want to have a shirt and tie when they're actually on holiday.
Yeah.
And also the other big misconception here is that some of the 6-star cruise lines or 5-star plus, so you're looking at Silver Seas and some of the other companies there, they really don't push dress code at all. They just kind of keep that kind of country casual.
Yeah,
all the time,
normally sort of like Oceania, people that have country casual wear it's sort of, again, sort of
Yeah.
trousers or smart jeans with a shirt, and people like that.
You can find out before you sail on if there's any dress code requirements by speaking to the cruise line directly or going through your Planet Cruise chap or lady, and they'll be happy to help. So apart from that, enjoy yourself and don't let it worry you.
Yeah.
If you want to dress up, you can always dress up. If you want to dress down, most of the time you can dress down too. What is a tender port?
Okay, so a tender port. At a normal port, the ship will pull up to the pier or dock and you simply get off and walk off or ride off on your activity and go ashore. But sometimes at a tender port, however, the ship is not able to pull up to the pier or dock, usually because the water is too shallow or the actual pier is too small. And in these instances, there will be a small vessel called a tender, which will take you from the cruise ship to the shore. And as I said, it is a nice way of doing it. People sometimes think, oh, I don't want to do tenders, but they're at the side of the ship, they get lowered down, the staff are there to look after you. And what's so nice is when you go into these places, a lot of them are small berths where you actually dock straight in the centre of town. It's easy for you then to get off and go out for the day. So never be put off by tenders. And as I said, they do work very, very well with the ships.
In fact, if it is a tender port, chances are it will probably be one of the best ports on your itinerary.
Yeah.
Because they're more difficult to get to, and places like Santorini, that incredible volcano that's filled with water, is always a tender port. There's some amazing places.
It's fantastic.
Villa
Even down in the Channel Islands, when you do places down like into St Peter's Port and all that, beautiful to go in there. But as I said, it's nice because they haven't built huge docks that have ruined the area. They've kept it as a small little jetty that you dock in, and then you're off into the.
And you kind of
port.
feel like you're arriving from your own private yacht.
Yeah.
Because this is
With
how
4,000 other people.
Yeah. Well, there's not quite 4,000 people on there, is there? And very often, but I know what you're saying. You kind of feel like you're you and Roman Abramovich who just pulled in and you're just kind of heading to shore.
No, never felt like that. Yeah. There's a big orange boat that will take 80 of you across many, many times during the day with 4,000 other passengers.
That big orange boat is a lifeboat, by the way, in
That
most
is
cases.
true.
It's the ship's lifeboats. There's certain ship's lifeboats that tend to get used for this, and sometimes ports have their own tender boats they use as well.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of the two. But don't be put off. It's incredible fun, and it normally means it's going to be a great port.
Okay, so people also ask us, food's a big thing on board the ships, and obviously people now have got specific dietary requirements, and obviously they get a bit worried about that due to medical or health issues. So what's the situation with that on board now?
Excellent, to be fair, and better than most landside restaurants because of the focus and the time and the effort that's put into the dining on board. Many people think because you're a captive audience that some people are going to relax and not bother about it, but food is what really causes many people to revisit a certain cruise ship and a certain cruise line. So all cruise lines do their best to cater for your dietary needs. We do recommend that you do take time to contact the cruise line directly or via your Planet Cruise representative to give them your specific requirements before you book, particularly if it is really, really specific to your dietary needs. And we'll always do our best to answer any questions you have in accordance with, of course, with a particular cruise line. But the good news is that very often they're happy to prepare individual meals for you, and of course they take it very, very seriously. Because obviously if you're not eating good food and you're not happy with your food, you're not going to have a good holiday. Now there are some dietary requirements you don't need to worry about contacting beforehand. So if you're vegetarian, or even if you're vegan, and in most cases even if you're gluten-free now, there will be options on the menu for you already in many of the restaurants, so you don't need to worry about that. Don't need to worry about that. We're talking about specific things like maybe if you have kosher dietary requirements, maybe it's a medical requirement for certain things, and even if you're looking at low carb options, some cruise lines offer low carb on the menu, some of them necessarily won't, so you might need to contact before. Now we talked about contacting maybe someone like Glenn or the cruise line directly. When you get on board, go and speak to the maitre d' as well. Have that conversation. They'll be sitting at a table on the first couple of days to check on table numbers and be available to you, but make the effort to go and do that and reconfirm that information that you've passed to the ship, so you can eliminate any doubts that you've got. And just remember, of course, that at the end of the day, you need to be happy, so you need to tell them exactly what you want and they'll do their best to make it happen for you. Now, while we're on this subject, actually, last year we did a really good episode, which was all to do with what we believe are the top 5 cruise lines for food and dining. So if you want to find out more about that particular episode, which I think is up to like 50,000 views or something.
Really? I'm on that one?
Yeah.
Lovely.
It's the one when you're on your mankini.
Lovely.
Click the link.
That'll put you off your food.
This next question, funnily enough, I had on Sunday. One of the questions I got asked there, we did a new to cruise panel, and it was, will I get seasick? And this is a really big fear for some people, particularly if their own experience is going over the channel on a ferry, which this particular lady's one was.
Most of them that have been seasick have gone on like a ferry over the Bay of Biscay in the middle of January.
Absolutely. Or over to Ireland, which is a notoriously rough passage.
But I mean, these ships are so good now with stabilisers and the way they operate in the water and stuff like that. Anyway, it's pretty good.
And they're a lot bigger. Cruise ships are a lot bigger than a ferry. So again, the movement of a ship will depend on the size of the ship, and also depend on the water that you're going around. And sadly, the waters around the UK tend to be some of the roughest.
If you go up to the fjords, going out in the middle of the summer, it's generally very, very good. Even going across the transatlantic, it's not normally too bad.
Absolutely. I mean, of course, on top of that, you've got loads of different forms. You know, if you did suffer with some kind of motion sickness, there are loads of different options for you on board. Go to reception. Sometimes they give complimentary. Sometimes you might have to, part with a lot of bit of money, but if you can get some seasickness tablets from there, and the one they really do, which I really recommend if you ever were really, really ill, they do it and you can get an injection. It's 99.9% of people, works for about 3 months, and it's absolutely incredible. So that's another option for you as well.
You've also got the bands. The bands go on, the pressure bands that go on your wrist, they're quite good. And a couple of other little tricks that we used to have, cold apple, if you have a cold apple, and also ginger ale. Ginger ale.
But anything with ginger in is a really good way. And the other big thing, common sense things that are really handy for you is if you're concerned about that, try and ask for a cabin that's midships. So you're getting less of the pitch.
Pay a little bit more for that, but generally if you're worried about it, it's worth doing.
It's good doing. And if you ever do feel a little bit like when in the first day or so when you're out there, and again, this is such a small minority of people that this ever happens to. It really is a tiny minority. Go outside. Make sure you do eat. Don't not eat. Even if you're eating dry biscuits and something, don't do it. Don't ever go on an empty stomach. And then go out and look at the horizon and keep your eyes focused on the horizon. There's some little tips. Can I afford a cruise?
Depends what one you're doing.
Like most things, isn't it? Can I afford a mobile phone?
Exactly. Yeah, now this is something that can put a lot of people off cruising, is the price. But the thing to remember is that in the price, they can admittedly look a little scary, but actually it includes everything added together. So if you think about how you live, eat and drink on a cruise and compare this to how much it would cost you for the same quality of holiday on land, you'll probably find out that you will be saving money.
And if you have a look at our site, or give us a call, you will see that there are lots and lots of deals on a weekly basis for you to take advantage of. Now, I know that sounds a little bit sales pitchy, but actually, to be honest, everyone that works here books their holidays through Planet Cruise at the same time, and that's got to say something for you. And with the price match guarantee, it really is quite incredible. And one of the big things I'm thinking about now, about not too long ago, we had a deal, didn't we, with Fred Olsen. I think it was £59 per night for 2 weeks. Which is incredible value. Again, when you think about trying to get a hotel room for £59, and you'd be lucky if you get breakfast for that. But here we're talking about a room, and you talk about three meals or 7 meals because you're on a cruise, and people just
you're eating all day.
Pile it up and eat all day.
You can add on the all-inclusive of 15 quid a day.
Exactly, and entertainment as well. What hotel gives you entertainment, great shows and stuff like that? £59 a night for 2 weeks. It's incredible. So it's a really, really good deal. On that note, though, Glenn, I know that you booked recently, haven't you?
We're taking my wife and my daughter down to Dubai next November. Oceania released the dates, went straight in there and booked it. Got the 8 nights, flights included with Emirates, transfers. Got my cabin for the 3 of us, and it worked out £620 for me and Els and 300 quid for Brooke. £1,500 for 8 days, and that's going November next year. And the thing is, 4 days later, they sold out. Prices are now £900 per person. So you've got to get in and forget about late deals now. If you want to book a cruise, I would say try and book nearly a year in advance because they're normally the better deals. But again, it just depends on what you want to do. But yeah, that was a good one.
Now, while we are talking about money, I believe there's been a recent innovation within the way you can pay for your cruise at Planet Cruise.
So we've now set up almost like a direct debit system, and actually we've extended this up to over a year now. So you can choose to pay up to 12 payments. So if you think 1,500 quid, what's that, 150 quid a time, comes out 9 times, that's your holiday paid for. So you don't, and literally when you get your tickets, you know it's all been done. So we can now extend payments. Obviously people are booking well in advance, but you don't want to pay for it all up front. Deposit to start with, and then set up direct debits, and it's paid off, and then you can enjoy your holiday. Now the other thing we're doing as well, and it sounds really silly, is that we're actually doing £1 deposits for cruises now. So you can book your cruise for £1 per person, not total, per person. So 3 of us booked it, we paid £3, and then about 8 weeks later you top up your deposit, but at least you know you've got it secured at that price. And then, as I said, set up that direct debit, and it just staggers the payments through the whole year. So you've got 18 months to pay it off.
That's good. So Brooke could contribute with some of her pocket money.
Oh, I took all her money, don't worry about that. She paid the £3.
So officially, in virtually all cases, the answer is no. There are a few exceptions, and some cruise lines will allow you to do so by charging you corkage for it, pretty much the same as you would do if you take your own wine to a restaurant or a wedding. Other big thing is that, say if you go on a wine tasting tour, you're over in the Barossa Valley in Australia, you're in South Africa doing the R62, you can bring it back on board, and then it gets taken away and looked after by the ship until the end of the cruise and then given back to you to take off. So you can do it that way. The other thing as well is that sometimes you can also buy bottles ashore, other stuff for consumption at home. So as long as you hand it in to reception, it doesn't even have to be a wine tasting tour. It can just be another bottle that you bought, but you hand it to the ship, then they'll look after it until you leave. That's the general way that they run. So our best advice is to check with your cruise line beforehand, or speak to your Planet Cruise representative such as Glenn from Dietary, and he'll let you know which individual cruise lines have which policy. So again, our final question, number 10 in our frequently asked questions, again came up on Sunday at the events at the Amex Stadium in Brighton, and it was, will I get bored? There was someone who was really concerned about going away on a cruise ship and genuinely getting bored.
No. Basically, and it also depends on what ships you book. So for example, if you look at Royal Caribbean now, they've got more facilities and places like Centre Parks and some of those sort of areas. So you've got rock climbing, you've got the trampoline parks, water parks, you've got loads of restaurants and bars to try. And again, that filters down depending on which cruise line you go to. So some of the more smaller ships will obviously have more sort of catered for couples, whereas obviously like the Royal Caribbean's P&Os go more for the family. So they've got to have stuff occupied.
And some are more enrichment based. So some people might find bumper cars and sky rails boring. Even though a lot of people won't. And so they might prefer something like Voyage to Discovery, where it's more enrichment based. Where you've got lots of lectures on board, and you've got lots of people talking about the history of the destinations that you're travelling to. So there's that kind of stuff as well.
And again, it's things like, have you got the kids with you? So if you're taking your kids with you, you've got the kids clubs.
Absolutely.
And what's nice about it is, you don't want to get rid of the kids the whole cruise, but sometimes it's nice for them to go off for a couple of hours. You have a couple of hours with your partner just to relax, have a drink,
meet back
go for
over
a
dinner
massage,
to talk about it.
Meet back from there. And once the kids get in the kids clubs, they're gone for most of the cruise anyway.
Oh, they make friends, don't they? And that's really great. So once they've made friends, they're having a holiday, and you're both getting a chance to have time apart.
You've got a floating hotel.
Crazy. And in fact, you know what? We've done our best to answer our 10 most frequently asked questions, but you may have another 10 questions that you would like to ask. So if that's the case, get on board, comment below or above, wherever the comment section is, comment and tell us what your questions are so that we can answer them, because that's the purpose of this program, is for us to actually directly answer your questions and hopefully give you information so you feel you're in a better position to go out and cruise and enjoy the world and discover it via the sea. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Keith.
I'm Glenn from the telly.
And we hope you enjoy Planet Cruise Weekly. Tune in again soon.
Cheers, guys.
Hi everyone, thanks very much for watching the video. Please don't forget to comment and subscribe below, and remember to click the bell to get those notifications turned on. And if you're looking for more fantastic travel content like this, then click on the videos to the right. It will be really informative. Or you can click on the Planet logo to the left and go to our website for some really fantastic deals. Thanks for watching.